Hello, my amazing algebra half students. This is Mrs. A, and I love math. Today we're talking about lesson 99 in the Addition 2 book, and I could not find a corresponding lesson, at least not one that was called this. But you may see once we do it that it is like something you had in Addition 3. I just don't know which one it is. But as I told my granddaughter, Hannah, if you just keep on going through my lessons, you will get to everything you need to know. So just keep on plugging away, and hopefully you can find the one that corresponds to the book you're doing. So today we're doing unequal inequalities, or quantities, and we're going to do problems that have less than or greater than in them. And they're not meaning that we're supposed to use the greater than or less than symbol. We're going to write these with equations, but it's a way to tell us that we're going to be performing an operation. So I'm going to show you the first one, and I want you to look at the word clues. So twice a number, we're going to represent with 2x. Or n, or whatever you want to call the variable, but 2x is good enough, okay? Is, we're going to always make an equal sign. 56 less than. That means whatever this number is 56 less than that. So that means that we're going to subtract a 56 at the end of the problem. Is 56 less than negative 72? All right, so that's our first try. Now let's see, by reading it again, does it make sense? Twice a number is 56 less than negative 72. 56 less than negative 72. Makes sense, doesn't it? This is saying exactly what we want it to say. So now we need to solve it. 2x equals, now here we have two numbers going in the same negative direction. Remember, we can take this minus and make it plus a negative 56. And when we add two like signs, we add and take the common sign. So negative, it's very negative. We add them together and get 8 and 12. So negative 128. Now, what are we going to do? Divide both sides by 2. So divide by 2 on this side, and we end up with x equals negative, what's 128 divided by 2? Well, 12 divided by 2 would be 6, and 8 divided by 2 is 4, so negative 64. Now, let's go back up into our words and see, does this make sense when we put it in? Okay, so negative 64 is the number. Twice a number would be the negative 128, right? So negative 128 is 56 less than, which is more negative than, negative 72. So negative 128 is 56 less than negative 72. Since they're going in the same direction, that would be correct, wouldn't it? So that is your first example. Writing problems with a less than or greater than another number. Here's our example 2. 6 times a number is 14 less than the opposite of the number. Okay, so 6 times a number would be 6x. Is will be our equal sign. 14 less than means we're going to put a 14 and a minus on the end of this expression. 14 less than what? 14 less than the opposite of the number. Well, if our number is x, couldn't we represent the opposite as negative x? We could, couldn't we? Okay, let's read it one more time. 6 times a number, 6x, is equal 14 less than minus 14, the opposite of the number. Looks good to me. Okay, so now we need to solve it. So here we've got the x in two places, don't we? So let's go ahead and add an x and add an x because we only want our x in one spot. So now we're going to get 7x equals negative 14. And we're going to divide by 7 and divide by 7 on both sides. X is negative 2. Now, let's see if it makes sense with the words. X is negative 2. 6 times a negative 2, well, that would be negative 12, wouldn't it? Is equals 14 less than the opposite of the negative 2, which would be a positive 2. So what is a positive 2 take away 14? Isn't it a negative 12? And it makes sense, doesn't it? That was example 2. Now we're going to do some practices. Are you ready? 7 times a number is 8 greater than the, I've lost my E, than the sum of the number and 10. What is the number? Okay, so we start by picking it apart. 7 times a number is 7x. Is equals 8 greater than plus 8 on the end. The sum, which is adding the sum of the number and 10. Okay? Uh-oh, this is one of your practice problems. Did you copy it? All right, so that should be your equation. So let's check it. 7 times that number is 7x equals 8 greater than the sum of the number and 10. Looks good to me. All right, so now we've got an x here and an x there. Let's go ahead and get this cleaned up because we don't have any reason to have the parenthesis other than just to say the sum. So x plus 10 plus 8, we can get rid of these. We don't really need them. There's nothing to distribute. X plus 18, let's go ahead and get that cleaned up, equals 7x. So we have x's here and x's there, x's everywhere. So we're going to subtract an x and subtract an x from this side, and we're going to get 6x, this goes away, is 18. Divide by 6, x equals 3. Right, now let's check 3 into the original to make sure it is our number. 7 times 3, well, 7 times 3 is 21, isn't it? Equals 8 greater than or 8 more than the sum of the number and 10. So 3 plus 10 is 13, and 8 greater than 13 would be 21, wouldn't it? 8 greater than 13 would be 21. So we get 21 equals 21, and that is true. So that is your first practice problem. In the next practice, I'm going to do a little bit better about letting you do it instead of me starting it right away. All right, this is our last practice problem. 3 times a number is 15 less than twice the opposite of the number. What is the number? Okay, so we need to come up with an equation, but that's your job because this is your practice problem. So copy down the words and then pause your video and come up with your own equation, solve it, and then tune back into the video to see if you got it right. So pause your video. Okay, so 3 times a number would be 3x. Is our equal sign. 15 less than would be 15 with a minus sign at the end. Twice the opposite of the number. Now the opposite would be negative x, so twice negative x of the number. So before we solve it, let's check and make sure that this represents the words that we have. One more time. 3 times a number would be 3 times x. Is the equal sign. 15 less than twice. So 15 less than means put a minus 15 at the end. Twice the opposite of the number. It looks good. All right, so now we have an x and an x. So this one, 2 times a negative x, remember positive times negative is a negative 2x. So we want to get rid of that because we want all of our x's in one spot. So why don't we add a 2x here and add a 2x there. And now this is going to be a 5x. This completely goes away. And then we have 5x equals, because the equal sign is here, negative 15. So divide by 5, and x equals, because that cancels, x equals negative 3. So x equals negative 3. Now let's put that in to see if it works back in the words. 3 times a number would be 3 times a negative 3. What is 3 times a negative 3? It's a negative 9. So negative 9 is the equal sign. 15 less than twice the opposite. Well, if the number's negative 3, then wouldn't the opposite be positive 3? And twice the opposite would be positive 6. So is 6 minus 15 equal to negative 9? It is, isn't it? All right, so there we go. We have our last practice problem. We are done with lesson 99. We're getting very close to 100, aren't we? Next lesson is lesson 100. That's kind of special. Maybe we ought to have another party. This is Mrs. A, and may God bless your day.